You're watching The Tom Renz Show with your host, Tom Renz.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Excited to be here. I've been running all over the country this week. It's been a very, very busy week. Fighting bad guys, doing what we do. Very excited to be here. There's lots happening this week, and hey, we've got great news. The Justice Department lives. We've actually gotten a few things done from our DOJ. They're charging the SPLC with crimes. Who would have thought that our DOJ would have the capacity to charge a bad guy with a crime? But they have. This is a really big deal. I mean, listen, SPLC, they're kind of has-beens at this point, but they have long been just an absolute bane for patriots around this country. If you believe in freedom, the SPLC is not your friend. These guys have long been known. Anybody that's in the fight, anybody that's doing anything, it's like, man, you talk about crooks, you talk about people that are just, not doing the right thing. It's the SPLC, right? The SPLC is like, from beginning to end, they're the people that just everybody's mad at all the time because, they're just never, ever, ever seem to be doing the right thing. So I couldn't be happier. We're going to get into that. But unfortunately, with everything good that happens, it's like there's got to be something bad, too. And this is a really, really ridiculous thing because, it just makes it feel like it's disingenuous. It just does. And so we got the SPLC thing, which is great. But then we've got this Maxwell, this Ghislaine Maxwell nonsense. And I want to put that in context because I want you guys to understand what's happening here. So the deal is that the scuttlebutt is that the DOJ is considering, some sort of a deal with Ghislaine to get some testimony. I think this is just a cover, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. We also got a bunch of Bobby was in front of Congress, a bunch of things there, so lots to talk about. But most importantly, I'm hoping I'm seeing if Nicole can join us today. Nicole Pearson, one of the fellow attorneys here on the GeoFight, her and Blake Horowitz. Blake, Nicole, and I are doing the GeoFight stuff along with Clayton Baker and Allie and lots of good people supporting us. And I'm just a part of it. I'm a cog in the wheel, right? It's not my thing. It's our thing. It's all of us fighting together. And I want to give a lot of credit to Blake and Nicole, who've worked very, very hard on this case. They've done great work on this. They've been really pushing on it. And it's looking solid to me. So we're going to, hopefully Nicole's going to join us, because there's been a lot of nonsense. Hey, those guys aren't going to do anything. No, we've been working on stuff. We don't just talk for the sake of talking. There was always stuff in the works. And I want to credit Blake. Blake's doing a great job. He's been driving this. This is a big passion for him. Nicole came in. This is a huge passion for her. You know, we've got very passionate people who care very much about the chemtrails, about the climate engineering, the geoengineering, all this stuff that's going on. And, you know, you can tell us, it's funny because whenever I talk about geoengineering, I get a bunch of clowns say, oh, that's fictitious. But you know, we've documented on this show many, many times. It's not fictitious. There are trade associations out there for groups that do geoengineering. Geoengineering is 100% a real thing. We know it's a real thing. And yet nobody wants to acknowledge it. They're doing whatever they can to try and ignore it. And there's no question why. It's just a cover up. You know, they don't want to admit that they're pumping aluminum into our skies at some monumental level to affect our climate change, because nobody wants that. Nobody except for the Bill Gates psychopaths that want to kill everybody. So anyways, hopefully we're going to get into that too. But before I do, a grifter's got a grift. And it's been a minute since I've been here, so I haven't been able to grift very well. And I'm missing my grift. I got to get it on. So it's actually not a grift. It's a very serious ask. We need your help. GiveSendGo.com/Renzlaw. GiveSendGo.com/Renzlaw. Please support us. Your support keeps us going. We're going to keep talking about things that are unpopular. We're going to keep talking about things that nobody wants to acknowledge. We're going to keep fighting. We need your help to do that. So go to GiveSendGo.com/Renzlaw. Also, go to TomRenz.com, www.TomRenz.com. And just check out everything there, right? Our sponsor, we got so many sponsors, so many good people. You get a discount with all of them. And of course, you know, I always talk about Global Healing, men's hormone support, and all their products. Their vitamins are the best thing on the market too, by the way, guys. There is a world of difference between Global Healing vitamins and the stuff you get at Walmart or even GNC. This is really high quality stuff. It's processed right. It's sourced properly. It's not, you know, cheap ingredients. It's the best stuff that they can find. They check it right from the farm to the field to everywhere. Check out globalhealing.com/Tom Renz. You want to check their stuff. Hale and Associates. We love Hale and Associates. Make sure you're protecting your family's financial well-being with Hale and Associates. Give them a call. HaleandAssociates.net/Tom Renz. And tonight we're talking Rocasa. Listen, I make jokes about it because I can't believe how much I like this group. Rocasa, they never cease to amaze me. You know, I thought this was just going to be kind of like a chick store, and they got lots of great stuff, great presents for the girls, right? You want everything that they make is organic and healthy and safe, from cleaning products to beauty products to all these different things. But they got some great supplements too, all sorts of great things. They even get some great stuff for the men. Great gifts. Check out Rocasa, and ladies. Listen, I'm telling you, I have not had a single lady that watched our show that's checked out Rocasa that's been unhappy with what they got. Everybody likes them. God-centered, family-centered, good company, organic, healthy stuff. Everything there, from cleaning to lotions to supplements to beauty stuff. And of course, the beauty stuff is why I'm so pretty and radiant, right? Okay, that pause for effect, because clearly that's not the case. But Rocasa, make sure you're checking those guys out. Love those guys. All right, let's get to it. And I want to start out. I want to hit a couple things. Let's start with Bobby. Bobby's doing some great work. And one of the things that Bobby's doing right now is he just testified in Congress. And there's a clip that I want to play with him, Ron Johnson. And this is a really, really important clip. So Ron Johnson, he was the guy that let me come up and speak on the DMED data. And Ron has been a steadfast steward of anything MAHA. Yeah, he's one of the few guys that'll take my calls anytime. He's a good guy. There's a couple senators that are okay. Ron's probably amongst my favorite. He's been very, very steadfast on MAHA issues, and we owe him a thanks on that. Well, today, Ron Johnson has been asking since the Biden administration for data, for paperwork, for all sorts of things. Well, guess what? Now that we got Bobby in there, Bobby's giving him what he wants. So the story is Bobby gave Senator Johnson 8 million pages. That's how much stuff. I mean, he's been requesting all sorts of stuff. You want to know how crooked the Biden White House was and the Biden Department of Health and Human Services? 8 million pages that the senator's been asking for, and he has the right to see. They were withholding, but he's finally got him. So Ben, let's play this clip of Senator Johnson talking a little bit about a critical issue. Go ahead.
Over 8 million pages of information just in the first tranche. By the way, what we discovered is that CDC, somebody in the federal health agencies, this interagency communication, hid the signal. They admitted there was a signal on myocarditis, and they hid it. They didn't warn the public. They didn't warn doctors. So that's just one instance of corruption and lies told by the CDC. We've got a lot of others we'll be rolling out. Okay, so we held our first hearing in permanent subcommittee investigation on that hiding of the signal of myocarditis. We've heard a lot of studies. Okay, as I've looked into science, it's been thoroughly corrupted. Here's data. And I'd like to enter this sheet into the record. I've been publishing this chart for, since really early 2021, when I'm on, for example, talk radio shows and they talk about this, they get deplatformed, or they were, because of all the censorship during the Biden administration. Here's the facts. The VAERS system that was touted in October of 2020, this great safety surveillance system on COVID, a few months later, when they didn't like the results, they started denigrating their own system. But VAERS shows that there have been 38,742 deaths reported on VAERS worldwide associated with the COVID vaccine. 38,742. 9,252 of those deaths occurred on the day of vaccination within 1 or 2 days. My committee's got now over it.
Okay, I want to stop right there. So I've been talking about this for a long time. This isn't new if you listen to me, but it's new that we're actually getting data backing it, and we're seeing a U.S. Senator really talking about it in this way. 8 million pages backing up what we've been saying for a long time. The FDA, CDC, whoever it is that was hiding this, they knew, your federal government knew, that the mRNA COVID-19 vaccines were causing myocarditis. They knew that it was killing people on a profound level, right? Now, no other vaccine, you get 5 or 10 deaths, and the vaccines have been pulled historically. Not the mRNA poisons, the Operation Warp Speed death shots, okay? Not them. They keep getting pushed. In fact, we're still trying to develop more mRNA. Now, here we have, and I want you guys to hear this. I want to stress this. The mRNA COVID, I just talked to someone today who had a family member, 25 years old, healthy young lady, dead. Got her booster, dead in a couple days. This is a killer. This stuff is killer. Not for everybody. Everybody that gets it doesn't die immediately, but long term, it's not going to be good. These vaccines have never been safe. They've never been effective. But the most important thing is this. We all know, it is indisputable, COVID has never, ever been a risk to healthy children. We also know that the vaccines do not in any way, shape, or form stop the spread. They don't prevent transmission. So giving it to your kids so they don't give it to grandma doesn't do anything other than poison your kid. Now, think this through, guys. I want you guys to hear this. If you give your child an mRNA vaccine, your child is not going to get any benefits at all. Pfizer knows this, Moderna knows this, everybody knows this, right? They know there are no benefits at all. But these companies continue to not only push them, not only to still keep them on the market for children, to still try and sell them, they are fighting in Congress to get Congress to push us, to go, to back it, whatever. This is a horrific, horrific thing. Think about this, guys. Think about this. If a company would do this, what that means is that these companies are willing to risk children dying for profit because there's no benefit. The only benefit is profit for them. Think about that. Can you imagine being willing to risk a child's life for $60? That's what they're doing. I think that's I don't know. I think that's a going right for the shot. So these companies, they're pushing this to kill children. They know it's no benefit. That's evil. That is the definition of evil. I'm sorry. Listen, Trump's Operation Warp Speed was the biggest failure in American history, the history of any sort of a health product. There has never been a bigger failure. There was nothing good that came from Operation Warp Speed. Nothing. Don't tell me it prevented prison camps. Don't tell me it prevented lockdowns. That's bullcrap. You've got no evidence of it. None. There is, however, evidence, very good evidence, and now indisputable evidence that has been entered in the record, although we entered it in the record a long time ago, showing that these mRNA shots increase the risk of death in children with absolutely no benefit, and they are only on the market for profit, despite the fact that they might kill children. That is not just a failure, that is evil. Thank you, Ron Johnson. Thank you, Senator Bobby Kennedy, for getting this out there. Now, it's interesting, this should be front page everywhere, but nobody's talking about it because, well, pharma controls the media still. So this will be censored everywhere. Nobody's going to want this shared. If we put the clip out, which we will, there's going to be all sorts of censorship on it. But at the end of the day, the reality is they're killing children for profit. That's what they're doing. That's what this amounts to. It's not arguable. It's not debatable. It's just happening. So we've got that going on. Now, we had another interesting thing came out of this. And I think, Ben, you got the clip of them talking about the flu vaccine. Now, they're moving right now. They want to move the flu vaccine, the COVID vaccine, everything to a universal mRNA poison death shot. They've been trying to do this for a while. It's not safe. It's not effective. It's a terrible idea. But one thing that Trump has done well that I want to listen, I don't like Trump's record on MAHA. His record on MAHA issues is abysmal at best. I will give him credit for one thing. With regards to vaccines, he's always said it's a choice. He wants to make it a choice. And they've done that with the military. There's a whole poo storm because they want to force the military, healthy young men, to get the flu shot. There's no benefit in that either. It's a disaster. I want to play this clip and let Bobby talk about this real quick. Ben, can we put this up? Let's let this play.
Just recognizing that these soldiers being sent over to fight for our freedoms and that they should have some freedom too. The flu shot is an intervention that is often ineffective, has a 20% efficacy rate. There are studies that show that getting a flu shot actually increases the chance of a non-flu infection.
Okay, so that's that, right? And thanks, Children's Health Defense, for that clip. So listen, here's the deal. Think about this. You're an 18, 19-year-old kid. You're willing to go to a war zone where you may take a bullet for your country, but somehow you're not capable of making a decision whether or not you want to risk the flu. The flu. 18-year-old kids don't die from the flu. And if you get the jab, the flu jab, you may get a whole bunch of other things. And you're still going to probably get the flu because it's 20% efficacious. It's a garbage shot. Don't get the flu shot, especially now because I don't trust what's in them. They're claiming it's still the flu shot. I don't trust it, not one bit. So think of the ignorance of this. Think how absurd this whole thing is. That we're going to have this intervention. We're going to force it on people who are willing to take a bullet for their country. They're making the decision to take a bullet for their country if it happens, but we're not going to let them roll the dice on the flu. It is absolutely preposterous. It's absurd, and that tells you how much influence these companies have. These pharmaceutical companies control Congress. They control the administration. And the fact that this is in the market with 20% efficacy is insane. With all the additional side effects that may be coming from it, it's insane. And they don't even properly test the new because it has to change every year, right? So these vaccines can't be tested properly because the flu changes every year. So you can't really vaccinate for the flu, even if you want to. So what they do is they do gain of function on the flu. Then they give you a new shot every year that's not fully tested because they can't. They don't have the time from the time that they do the new formulation to retest. So there's a special procedure they use to legally to bypass the testing. These flu vaccines are horrific, and there's no reason for it. But yet, up until now, our soldiers were mandated to take this. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Trump administration. And listen, here's the deal. We got to give credit where it's due, and we're just going to stick with truth on this show. Is the Trump administration good on MAHA? Hell no. They're not good on MAHA. They get the glyphosate order. They're still pushing mRNA. They're still talking about Operation Warp Speed. They haven't pulled this stuff off the market. No, they're not doing good on MAHA. But are they doing bad everywhere? No, they are doing some good things. So we're going to tell the truth either way. It's great that they're now giving choice on this. Now we got to make sure that the public's educated and knows that the choice is to say hell no on any and all vaccines. But we're working on that. We'll get there. So that's a very big news, and I want to congratulate Bobby and congratulate Senator Johnson for finally, getting this going and doing what they're doing on. It's a huge deal, and curious what Senator Cassidy would have to say on it, because Cassidy's been running around telling everybody how great this crap is forever. Don't get me started on that. All right, so we've got that. That's all happening. I want to move into the next bit. I believe Nicole's going to join us, so I want to hit real quick this SPLC, right? SPLC. These guys. It turns out that the SPLC is funding the Ku Klux Klan. At least that's the allegation, right? Now, SPLC says, no, it's a whistleblower thing. So they have apparently spent like $3 million funding groups like, let's see here, the KKK, the Aryan Nations, the American Nazi Party. Can you imagine that the Southern Poverty Law Center, who is supposed to be talking about hate, is sending checks to the American Nazi Party? Are you kidding? You've got to be kidding me, right? These guys are just downright evil. I'm sorry, the fact that, and they've been used, right? So the Democrats will point to the hate map all the time from the SPLC. Anybody that's on there, oh, you're a hate list, you're a hate this, you're a hate that. This crew has been caught in so many bad things over the years. They're an absolute trash crew, and the fact that they aren't all in jail at this point is shocking to me. Maybe they will end up in jail now. I hope so. We're going to have to see whether, who gets charged with what and who goes to jail on this. But these guys, and man, this hurts me to do. But Blanche actually came out and said something human. He said, SPLC was manufacturing racism to justify its existence. Instead of dismantling these hate groups, they were paying them. And, then said, oh, my gosh, the hate is too powerful. We need more donations. We need more money. We need more support. And it's just been a scam. It's been a scam forever. And by the way, SPLC has huge, huge deep pockets. Very, very deep. Can you imagine the Democrats, their favorite group, and it shouldn't be a surprise, right? Because the Democrats were the party of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know if you know that. I mean, the Republicans, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. The Republicans have been fighting to end the racism and stuff from the beginning. The racism always came from the left. And now we have it on black and white on paper, right? SPLC is apparently funding these guys. And they're saying, like I said, they're saying that it was, part of a plan to get in for something. $3 million? That seems like more than a plan. I mean, I don't know how much you're paying your whistleblower. You know how much I've paid whistleblowers over the years? Zero. I've had a lot of good whistleblowers. I have paid a grand total of $0.00 to the whistleblowers. It is incredible to me the way that this has been done. And while they're doing this, SPLC, their mission statement promises to, quote, dismantle white supremacy. But they're giving money to neo-Nazis and KKK. The Democrats, listen, we've been talking a lot about how bad the Republicans are, and the Republicans are not good. But we also try to be careful to say the Democrats are worse, because guess what? They are. I mean, these guys, I don't believe Patriot Front was listed on this. But I mean, the Patriot Front thing, come on, guys. There's so much around about that. This whole thing, everything that we saw in the Biden administration was manufactured, is designed to create racism, designed to create hate, designed to cause problems. From beginning to end, everything in the Biden administration was corrupt. And we know that. I mean, we know that. Right down to their push for these mRNA vaccines to be in every arm. They did everything wrong that they could possibly do. And it looks like it's finally coming out. Now, here's one of the problems. One of the problems with this is we see this as good news. But at the same time, it's like they do something good to really distract us from something terrible. And SPLC, like I said, they've lost a lot of credibility. I'm not going to say anything bad, but I'm thrilled that they're going after these guys. They need to. Now, we'll see whether the prosecution's effective. That I don't know. But they're definitely going, right? So that's all happening. But meanwhile, we've got Ghislaine Maxwell. And what we're seeing, so the DOJ has moved to unseal about 90,000 more pages related to Epstein. Now, these are 90,000 pages related to Epstein stuff that are within, that are absolutely 100% within the Transparency Act need to be released. Now, the DOJ is playing games because Todd Blanche doesn't actually want to release anything or put any Epstein perverts in jail. So Blanche is playing a game, and he's acting like he's going after things. He's got several million pages he could, would, should release, but he won't. So the question is why, and I don't have a good answer on that. So unfortunately, I think that's more of a ploy than anything. It's 90,000 pages. Do I want it out? Yes. Do I think that there's going to be the real substantive stuff? Are we going to see, which of these Epstein, these rich elites from the Epstein list were raping kids? We may see a few. I'm guessing they're going to throw. Here's my guess. My prediction is they're going to throw a few people under the bus, maybe some garbage charges, something going on, so that they can, really act like they care about Epstein. They're trying to find a way to make the Epstein stuff go away before the election, because we the people are still mad about it, right? We're still really mad about it because we don't like the idea that the rich elites can get away with raping children, and for no other reason than they're rich and elite. But I don't think we're going to see any sort of a real action on this. I think this is going to be more smoke and mirrors. I think we may get like a prosecution or two that are, good. I'll be glad for that. But the idea is that they want to keep the majority of the people shielded. And so we'll never see the specifics of the deal that Ghislaine's going to get. We'll never know what's going on. So I think this is just smoke and mirrors to distract us. So I get more on this in a minute, but we've got Nicole here, and Nicole, I just has been a really good sport because I gave her a solid, 30 seconds notice, maybe a little less than that. and she was still ready to jump on. But Blake and Nicole wanted to get this stuff out there, and so I think it's important. So we're gonna make the time to get this out there one way or another. Ben, I think Nicole looks ready. She looks past ready. So let's bring her on and put her on the spot here. Nicole, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm doing much better now that our lawsuit is on file.
I'm very glad that it is.
Yeah.
And congratulations. I know you and Blake worked very hard on that. And I was cheerleading for you guys. I mean, I was like, rah, rah.
You were right there with us. No, you were right there with us. It was a feat amending this complaint. There's a lot of information that needed to be exposed in a factually accurate and, lawfully appropriate way. And it took a lot of work and a lot of research. But I think we were able to pull it off.
And I do too. And I'm going to try and position this a little bit, and then you can tell me why I don't know what I'm talking about.
Always.
So, yeah. By the way, Nicole and I are friends, period. So that's not just an on-air thing. So she can give me a little bit of guff. She does usually. So here's the deal. We've seen a lot of garbage out there. And we've been, just like everything else, people get mad. Oh, you guys aren't doing anything, you aren't doing this, aren't doing that. The reality is that we've been doing stuff for quite a while. And I want to credit you and Blake for being so diehard on this. You guys have just been driving. You guys have been passionate about it. You've been pushing it. You've been God knows how many hours for free, by the way, guys. The pay on this is the funding that we're getting from your guys' donations. So make sure you go on to the GeoFight, donating and supporting, because this work is primarily pro bono, and it's very important. Now, would you agree that that's a fair characterization, Nicole?
It's an extremely accurate characterization of our work thus far. Hopefully we get some funding. If there were more members on our team that could dedicate their time to the lawsuits, to going through the evidence that we have, the whistleblower evidence we have coming in, to help us research and fine tune, because this is like the naysayers and the trolls point out, this is a very complicated, complex issue. It's very layered, and it does take a lot of research. There's been decades of research and patents and laws that have been layered upon laws, and so we need the help. And I would love to get the I call it the Freedom Fund going, because we won tremendous battles during COVID, but if we had the funds and didn't have to slow down and stop to refill those coffers, we would have won so much faster. We would have built out our army so much faster, given people tools and resources to be pushing back in their local communities, which helps our jobs and the state and the federal level. So yeah, right now we're working for free. And the work needs to get done. The skies are getting worse. Our health is getting worse. The livestock and the crops are dying faster. The soil is being decimated, and our water is being contaminated. And the work has to get done. So we're doing the work, and we would like to build it up faster so we can go build it up so we can go faster and longer and more powerfully than before.
Absolutely. And so let me explain to everybody how this works. So the freedom work that we do, and I call it my Save the World work, right? And Nicole knows this. She's been with us for a long time. Blake came in like a tornado, all ready to fight in this space. Here's the thing. The freedom work isn't about pay. So anybody wants to tell me that we're getting rich off this, we can show you using actual evidence that you're full of crap. We need the money because it's a very hard thing and there is no money. But this issue is exceedingly complex, and let me explain why. So we've seen a couple people those state laws don't matter. The state laws do matter, first of all. Every piece of legislation that we pass, bringing light to and creating issues for people who want to do geoengineering is critically important. And I'm saying that as an attorney. There's ways we can use it. And I'm not going to go into every detail, and I'm not going to get into a fight with people that aren't attorneys about whether or not it's important. It is. That's what I do for a living. Go to law school and then tell me otherwise. If you haven't been to law school, I don't want to hear it. So here's the deal. We got this, but some of the naysayers have said rightly state law doesn't trump federal law, and that's true. So what we've had to do is we've had to go through, and we have to hit this from a number of different angles, and some of them are more complex. That's where this case comes in. Right? Because, everybody says, well, so you're going to sue them and there's no more chemtrails. No, that's not where we're at yet. We're working on that. That's where we're going. This case, though, is a critical first case. And I'm going to kind of put this in a little corner, and then I'm going to let you build from it, Nicole. So in this case, what we have is a whistleblower. And this whistleblower is a very, very important individual whose job it is to kind of watch over the records. Now, let me explain why this is so important. We have a bunch of liars and crooks out there that have made God knows how much money, saying that the world is getting hot. We're global warming. If you remember Al Gore, actually, if anybody's watching from either coast, you should be swimming right now, because Al Gore told us that we're all going to be swimming by now, and that we're past the point of no return and the world's over. Obviously, Al Gore was a lying, grifting piece of crap and continues to be. But they keep making these claims, but they have no basis. So here's the problem. We have historical records showing what the climate was. And because those records have shown over the years that there's really no big deal going on anywhere, the Democrats, the left, and the crooks who are pushing the global warming scheme have been secretly going in behind the scenes and changing the historical records so that they could say, oh my God, there's a climate emergency. We need to spray poisons in the sky, kill everybody with these poisons, because if we don't, it'll be worse. And that's the foundation of this lawsuit, is we're showing that they're manipulating the data, which we believe is being done to justify spraying poisons like aluminum, of all things, which has, is correlated to autism and all sorts of other health problems, in the sky on a massive global scale. Does that sound about right, Nicole?
Yes. This is in my opinion, I'm trying not to be hyperbolic or dramatic about it, but it is probably one of the most important cases that we will ever file, because this case takes the entire narrative, all of the justifications for the research and the programs and the funding into geoengineering and weather modification. It takes that out at the knees. If there is no data, if we do not have historical weather data to compare current data against, then we don't know where we've been and we don't know where we're going. And they do not have the data sets to justify their proposals, their programs, their funding, and their research. All of the other lawsuits that are being proposed, many of which have very serious procedural and substantive issues from a legal perspective, but even if they could be viably brought in a court of law, fall under this lawsuit. Because again, if these programs, whether they're making sunsets, chasing sunsets, Rainmaker, Stardust Solutions, DARPA, whatever, University of Colorado Boulder, which Sears, their program was, who we sued, who's the new defendant, the named defendant in this lawsuit. Whatever it is, these public-private partnerships, they do not have a leg to stand on. If they do not have data to point to as allegedly being better in the past, and to compare to current data sets, claiming that the current data sets are worse and will continue to get worse if their program, for example, does not get funding and proceed. This is the silver bullet to the entire narrative. If there is no historical data, and our client, Justin, he was responsible for stewarding and protecting and chronicling and really preserving data from 1890 to 1990 and a little bit beyond that. If we don't have 100 years worth of data, how do we know where we've been and where we're going? How do we know that things have actually gotten worse? And so that's the basis of the basis of this lawsuit, is that he reported activities at the University of Colorado Boulder in conjunction with NOAA NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, they were working in collusion to allow the destruction, this mismanagement, the relocation of data without any supervision, any expert supervision. And we don't know where the data is. It's no longer accessible. And so again, it begs the question, what data are you looking at when you come and ask for $60 million? Or you come and you ask for these government contracts, or you come and ask for a permit to spray aerosols and gases into our skies? What data are you using to claim that things are so bad that they justify your activities, which we know, as you know, are actually harmful to human and environmental health?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. Let's draw a comparison, right? Because I want everybody to understand, if you've watched me for the years, you know, we talked a lot about over the COVID stuff, the necessity of an emergency, right? There's got to be a reason for an action. If you're going to do something that nobody wants politically, if you're going to do something even legally in many cases. So for example, let's look at the COVID jabs. If they didn't drum up and lie about the number of deaths related to COVID, they couldn't have claimed there was an emergency, and so they couldn't have approved the mRNA COVID jabs, which were much worse than COVID. They use an emergency, they manufacture, and this is perfect today with the SPLC story. You know, the SPLC pays racist groups to be racist, and then they claim that they're there to fight racism. Well, I mean, this is straight out of the Democrat playbook. So what we're seeing here is climate change has always been a hoax. That's not to say that there's no human impact whatsoever on climate. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We don't know what it is. We don't know what extent. I mean, it's just not there. It's not conclusive yet. And at best, the final answer on what it's doing is vague. So they didn't have an emergency. They didn't have a justification. So what these guys have done is they've gone in, and it looks like they're messing with the data. And they're doing so so that they can claim that there's a crisis, so that they can claim there's an emergency. Then, if they're going to continue to manipulate, if they get away with this, they can continue to manipulate the data and say, well, listen, the world was going to end, so we had to poison everybody with aluminum and sulfur and all these different poisons, because if we didn't, the whole world was going to end. But look we've manipulated the data further, and look at how great our stuff is working. It seems like the narrative, right?
I mean, I think that this is COVID 2.0, the same way that they had to shut down hospital wings in order to claim that the hospital beds were full. Well, of course, if you shut down 2/3 of the hospital and remove 2/3 of the beds, then the remaining 1/3 is going to be full, not just with COVID patients, but with any patient. It's the same thing with the PCR test. Oh, the PCR tests are coming back. Look at all these tests. Okay, well, if you're running them at 38 cycle thresholds, then obviously, then you're going to come back with a piece of lint from 1971. Like, you can detect anything with those. So what we have right now, and legitimate pray, as we've seen the 8th NASA scientist and his family who's been murdered or suspiciously died. Pray for Justin, because he has put his career and his life on the line to expose this. And when he exposed not just the mismanagement of data, but the actual destruction of this data, of this documentation, he also saw individuals that were with Sears and with NOAA who were requesting access to his sensitive radar systems. And I'm talking about highly confidential, what's it called, highly classified systems that have far-reaching international implications, trying to demand his passwords, his login, his credentials, to get the data that they didn't even have the authority, let alone experience and training to interpret and understand and use. We see a serious problem here, an outright attack on this historical data that, again, is being used to justify hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of taxpayer dollars that are being used to fund research and fund these programs that are spraying harmful chemicals into the sky without sufficient. Allegedly, there have been some studies done on the the implications or the ramifications of these chemicals being sprayed in the sky. Certainly not enough, certainly not to this extent, certainly not when compounded and layered upon each other, because we have local weather modification activities, we have statewide activities, we have countywide, statewide, and then we certainly have federal, and we also have international activities being conducted in our skies. So his is a whistleblower lawsuit. It concerns federal whistleblower protections. He did exactly what he was required to do by law. He reported it up the chain of command, and instead of being protected, he was harassed and retaliated against, and it ended up, at least this is what we are alleging, what we believe based on the evidence we have to date, that he was terminated because of his participation in this federally protected activity.
Now, this is, folks, I want you to understand something. Think about this. Historical temperature data, weather data, things like that. If it was on June 3rd, 2004, 38 degrees in Nome, Alaska, why would you need to there's no reason to modify. That's just what it was. It's a fact. It's not something you modify. There's no new data. There was a thermometer that day that said it was that temperature. You don't modify that data. There's no scientific, no plausible justification for those sorts of modifications. And in the event that someone found a widespread error in thermometers, which I think seems like just a little bit of a stretch, why would you wouldn't you want to say, hey, we found out all thermometers manufactured from 1995 to 2005 were manufactured with an error, and so we want to you'd want it to be very transparent, because the whole thing sounds absurd. Mm-hmm. Science isn't about cover-ups and hiding things. Science is something that when done properly, is done with as much light as can be, because you want to shed the light of truth on everything. You want to look at this. You want to see what's going on. But in this case, what we have is cover-up on cover-up on cover-up, and then when a guy comes through and follows the very specific rules of the law and asks for federal whistleblower protection, which he's required to get under the statute, in my opinion, he's retaliated against, allegedly, and then terminated because he said, hey, I don't think that the thermometers were all broken for the last 150 years. So, maybe we shouldn't be screwing with these. Maybe there's something wrong with this. Maybe there's something nefarious. I mean, honestly, that sounds ridiculous, but that's not an overstatement, is it?
No, it's not. And if you look at the complaint, I'd first like to point to I'll get to that in a second. I'd like to mention the footnotes. And we have over 55, I believe 55 exhibits attached to this lawsuit. Every single allegation in this lawsuit, aside from the factual ones that are within our client's, knowledge and experience, everything else that we allege in the complaint that is objectively factual is cited to and is attached with documented proof attached to it. And I'd like to point people as a real life example of what you're referring to is the Paris Climate Accords. So the Paris Climate Accords and the former administration's decision to enter into the Paris Climate Accords was based almost exclusively, or predominantly, I should say, on a 2015 Tom Carl report that was based on data that was destroyed. So it's problematic for several reasons. And when you deal with experts in the scientific community, like we have been doing, you and myself and Blake, we've been interviewing these experts. It's not just about justifying your conclusions and showing your work. It's what you just, and to substantiate your findings. It's what you just stated or described, Tom. It's that other scientists are constantly, science is always developing and changing. And so you want to be looking and have that historical data and those processes in place so that you can challenge it with your own hypotheses and continue to evolve. You want the science to continue to grow and evolve and get better. And so when you have these examples, you're not only doing a disservice to the entire scientific community, to the scientific process, the scientific method, but then you're also using these uncorroborated, unsubstantiated conclusions to make critical international, not just national, but international policy decisions. And then you can't go back and prove later why that decision might not longer be appropriate at this time, because you don't have the data even to refer to. You don't even understand the processes that were undertaken to form that conclusion and make that proposal that was relied upon by our federal government to make this decision, for example, to enter the Paris Climate Accords, which, as we've seen in this administration, which they've called a sham and a hoax and a tremendously bad deal for the United States of America. There are serious implications for this type of mismanagement and destruction of historical data on which these scientists and then later foreign policy leaders are making, and national policy leaders are making these decisions.
Well, let's go back to one of the most critical things that you said there. The data underlying the paper that was used to justify spending billions and billions of dollars on these garbage Paris Climate Accords was fake, is gone, is garbage. Now, here's the thing about this. Science is always evolving. It is always growing. It is always changing. But there's certain things that don't change. The underlying facts don't change, right? H2O is water. Right? That doesn't change. It doesn't change over time. If I measure something, that measurement, when I measured it, is what it is. That thermostat, that thermometer that says it's this many degrees here today is what it is. It doesn't change. We can change. We can interpret it. The science is studying that data, and we can say, well, this data indicates this or it indicates that. But the underlying data doesn't change. It was measured. It was measured appropriately. It was measured accurately. And we can change and we can argue about the interpretation of the data. But you see, here's the problem. There is no data to support these absurd conclusions that we need to intervene on a global scale to save our climate from global warming. There's no basis for it. So when we talk about the fact that we now want to spray God knows what in the sky on a global basis, that whole thing, particularly was related to Paris, was based on nothing. This is a lot like saying that some of the vaccines out there are safe and effective. There were no studies. There's no studies. Right. And in the same way, so I want my Maha crowd, I want you guys to understand that the tools, the fake science, the fraud that was committed in COVID is the exact same thing that's happening in the geoengineering space. And it's the exact same justifications that they're using to promote these interventions, which, I mean, by any and all accounts, first of all, let's acknowledge that we don't actually know what specifically they're doing. We know that when we look up, we see persistent chemtrails all over the country. But, I'm going to give you some anecdotal evidence, Nicole, which I haven't had a chance to share with you. I was flying across the country today. I was flying from Phoenix to Dallas. And as I was flying, I looked down and I see two jets, right? And the one jet had a contrail. And it was like any other contrail you ever see. It was there. And I could actually see it dissipating in a very short period of time. Like the jet went by, there's some contrail, and, a couple miles behind the jet, it starts dissipating and going away. There was another jet flying, and behind it, and it was roughly the same altitude. I understand, I'm looking down. This is anecdotal evidence. Roughly the same altitude. It was certainly in the same geographic vicinity. So the air conditions were the same. But one of the contrails was disappearing like a contrail you would expect, because a contrail is generally condensation. It's water, right? So that water is going to be up there. And unless very specific conditions are available, it's going to dissipate pretty quickly. The other contrail, though, was not dissipating at all. It was up there. It was stuck. It wasn't moving, and it looked like it was expanding. So I could see side by side two different trails in the same space. Now, that scientifically doesn't make sense unless one or two things are true. Either the other plane had different fuel, or it was spraying something behind it. I couldn't see it well enough to say which was the case. But for whatever reason, what was coming out of one plane was not the same as what was coming out of the other. And I can say that because it was the same spot. You can't claim that there was a different environmental factor, that there was a different weather situation when they're that close together. So this is happening. Anecdotally, it's indisputable. They won't quit lying about it, so we don't know exactly where it's coming from. And Nicole, do you think it's safe to say that where we're at right now as attorneys, as people who are looking at facts, and by the way, here's the thing, guys, if we put it in court and we lie about it or misrepresent it, we lose our license. So you can't. We're not lying. In fact, if you see people politically, you see people talk about liars all the time. You know that when we put it in court, accused of lying, that's actually defamation per se under the law. So we can't. We legally get in trouble if we lie to the court. So there's no lies here. The stuff that we're presenting is court quality evidence that actually matters. So I know there's other evidence, and I know a lot of you guys are excited and want to see us to, go after this, go after that. But we have to be very careful how we're stating it so that we don't overstate the actual evidence that we have that meets the standards of evidence for a courtroom. Is that fair?
Yes, I mean, it's critically important. And this lawsuit, like you mentioned earlier, there are going to be different lawsuits against different actors for different reasons. And because of how nuanced this is, how layered the statutory structure is governing federal airspace, I mean, there are so many angles that we are excited. We are pursuing. There will be more lawsuits, just so everybody knows. This is just the first one, and it was the one that we felt was most important for several reasons. Number one, like we said, I will speak for myself on behalf of the myself as the member of the GeoFight team, not on behalf of anybody else. But to me, this is a silver bullet. If there is no historical data upon which to make your presentation and to present your analysis and your conclusion that this is where we've been, this is where we are today, and these systems, these programs, these processes that my company is responsible, or this school's program, this university's program is responsible, that is going to combat this, that, and the other, and get us back to this place that we were in history. If you don't have that baseline, then you don't have any authority for any of these programs. All of them, like I mentioned earlier, all of these other lawsuits that people are pretending that they're going to be able to bring or might bring or thinking about bringing fall under this umbrella, because every single one of those bad actors that they would like to go after are, again, operating from this faulty presumption that there has been a drastic change over the course of history in the historical weather data to justify interventions and research into managing the temperature, managing our atmosphere and our weather to get us back to those prehistorical conditions. But again, if they don't exist, then how can you make that justification? So again, this is based on the allegations of our client, Justin Mabee, all of his documents that he has, all of the evidence that he has, and then all of the other allegations that we make in the complaint, because we do take, like I said, over 55 footnotes with exhibits laying out the history of geoengineering and weather modification in this country, the high level, right? Because it's so long and so deep. There's so much there, but we do a very deep, comprehensive deep dive of the most telling patents and projects that we know of, attach documented evidentiary proof of those allegations, and submit them with the complaint. So this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not us making assumptions. This is information that is out in the public record, out in the public domain, and then certainly what our client has brought that has been corroborated by the evidence that he has to date, which obviously I can't get into on this podcast in greater detail, but yeah, it's our license if we make material misrepresentations or any misrepresentation to the court.
Yeah, and we know, because if you're in the freedom fight, the bad guys love to come after your license. They love to come after you. I mean, we'll get the smear campaigns. We get all that stuff, all the fun stuff that we had during COVID. We are truly gluttons for punishment, but, it's all good. Listen, this is a critical case, guys. and Nicole, I want to get you and Blake. We're going to have to do a roundtable on this, and we're going to have to do a whole bunch more on this. It's important, and I know it's last minute, but I wanted to, since we got the filing in today, I wanted to make sure that people had an opportunity to hear a little bit about this and to position it the right way, because I agree with you. If we undercut the justification for these actions, which we did and which we will do, then there's no further justification, because it's indisputable, right? So if a factory sitting down the street from you started belching out this much aluminum and barium and whatever else, sulfur, they would under the Clean Air Act, there'd be so many violations, EPA would be up their butt in a minute. But this is all being done differently, with exemptions, with this, with that. It's being done secretly. It's being done by private actors, by government entities. We believe by the military. This is being done based on a lie. And we got to get that lie taken care of. So the first step, and this is only a first step, folks, this will not be a one and done thing. Nobody has this is a silver bullet case, but it's not a silver bullet to end geoengineering. This hopefully will do a lot to end the premise and to shed light on the premise and to show everybody that this whole thing is fake and based on lies. We really got to push this, but this is step one. So for anybody that's out there that wanted to tell us that, this is all fake, well, take a good look at the complaint. I got news for you. The complaint's on file. It is there. It's legitimate. We're quite serious about it. And we intend to demonstrate to the world that the geoengineering cabal is real, that what you see in the sky is exactly what it looks like, and that it needs to stop, and that it's dangerous, and that it's being done as a way to steal, manipulate, and to damage people's health. We don't really know the motives, but that's the results. And we want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. You need to support us on the GeoFight. You can follow us on the GeoFight on social media. We need your donations because, again, this is not easy. It's not cheap. And if we've got enough support, we're going to be able to do some big things on this, really big things. This is kind of like a lot of other things. The bad guys got infinite money. The good guys, if they ask for $5, we get called a grifter. So this is a really important thing that we need to do and need to address. Nicole, we're coming up on the backside of the show. Is there anything else that you want to talk about on the show, or about the case, or about the whole movement in general, or? I
have three things I wrote down. The other thing is that we need to protect whistleblowers. I want whistleblowers, whether you're a pilot, whether you're a jet fuel engineer, whether you're a scientist that is formulating the new jet fuel, the SAFs or the JO8, whatever it is, whoever you are, whether you're just refueling, but you know what's going on, if you are a scientist, if you are working within any of these agencies, we will protect you. You deserve protection. You have federal protection. So just as much as this case, these underlying themes are, threading this lawsuit. First and foremost, Justin deserves to have the federal protections that are currently in place, and we are there to ensure first and foremost that Justin is protected as a whistleblower, and truly as like a patriot and who is fighting for this country and for our future. So please know you are protected. We will protect you. Please come forward, and that's what this lawsuit is about. It's just as much about that other story as it is about protecting federal whistleblowers. Number two, please do read the complaint. We wrote it in such a way that people can read it and understand it. We do have all of the exhibits also available to you, but if you go to the geofight.com, the GeoFight.com. Then at the top, it's the first link at the very top, read the complaint. You can download the complaint, pass the information around. We wrote it in a way so that you understand who Justin is, who NOAA is, who the University of Colorado Boulder is, and Sears, their program, what they did, how they worked together, what he complained about, how they treated him, and then what the laws are that protect him. And then most importantly, we try and flesh out the motivation. And so that's where we flesh out the history of geoengineering and weather modification in this country and abroad. And then the last thing I want to say is you're right. I shouldn't have said this is a silver bullet. If we win this case, it's not going to end everything, but it will take this whole entire machine. I think it really does go after it at the knees because, again, if you don't have the data, no one has justification for anything they're doing, whether they're small local mom and pop shop doing a small watershed project here in Orange County, or it's something nationally. If you don't have the data to say these things are bad and this is going to get us back to these conditions from before, then no one has a leg to stand on coming in and asking for approval from the government, assuming they even do so. So my last message, I just want people to have hope. And we are here. We are completely committed to this. You shared your reasons. I've shared my personal reasons. Blake has his personal reasons. We have other people on the team who are anonymous, who you guys would be so happy to hear are helping us. We are all personally invested in this. We are going to do everything that we can. More lawsuits are coming. We're so excited about the next ones that are coming. And we're also coming up with toolkits. We will be training people, boot camps, how to start pushing back in your local communities to start exposing this fraud and stopping these programs in your local communities. So just know this is COVID 2.0. This is FLTJ 2.0. This is Tom Renz, who never stopped. He just keeps going. But we're going to do everything top to bottom to stop this. And I want people to know we beat COVID. If we had not stood up during COVID, we would all be in FEMA camps, or we would all be dead, or we would all be vaccinated. We are not. And because the elites, the globalists know that they didn't pull it off. They thought they could pull it off with COVID. They blew it during COVID. Now they're trying these other ways of getting us to that same end. So I want you guys to know, when you guys link arms and you rise up and you support warriors who are going to battle for you, and then you step up and you go to battle in your communities, that's how we win. We can win this. We can stop the glyphosate. We can stop the mRNA jabs in the food. We can stop the spraying of our skies if we just rise up together. We can do this. We did it. In Ireland, they just did it. Ireland, of all places. They can do it. We can do it. We did do it. We're going to do it again. Just link arms with us, believe in us, support us, and work with us together to stop what's going on, the spraying and the poisoning of our skies.
Amen. I do think it's a silver bullet case. It doesn't bring down everything, but it brings down a core component. I think that everything was very well said, Nicole. I'm honored to call you and Blake friends. It's much better. During COVID, I felt like I was a lone wolf. I know you were doing your stuff, and there was a lot of people doing their stuff. But it's nice to be working together with people that actually care and that understand the importance of this. And folks, we can stop it. It just comes down to whether we're committed, whether we're willing to work, whether we're willing to earn it. And we will. We will. One thing that I'll tell you is I don't like losing, and I don't intend to. So we'll get there. And it's something that can be done if we support it and if we keep going. But like I said, we'll keep fighting because we're in on this. And we've got great people, great people. There's a lot coming on this. It's an honor and a privilege. We'll have a lot more coming on this, and I just can't tell you how grateful I am to be working with such fine people. By the way, there's a lot of good people doing a lot of work and good work in geoengineering space. We're happy to work with anybody out there that wants to work with us. Yes. We do want you to understand something. We're trying to do this for real. We're not just putting up a website and talking about it for 20 years. We actually want to stop this, which means that we need people who are real whistleblowers, people who have real data. There's so much out there in this space from good people who are doing their research. But understand, if you can search it on the internet, so can we. That may or may not constitute data. Just because you saw something on the internet doesn't mean so. So I want your patience and understand we did this during COVID. I had all sorts of people sending me all sorts of stuff. Renz, how can you not be talking about this? Well, because I can't prove it. I can't prove it, not in a way that's going to meet the court standards. So we're trying to stick to this in that way. So we don't mean to any offense to any of the people who got, the silver bullet that they think is going to save everything. It's just our job to figure out how to make use of this stuff in a way that the courts will hear and that can move the needle publicly. So if for any of we know there's some bruised egos and some people with hurt feelings because, they want us to use this or want us to use that. If we can, we will, because we want to fix this. But, understand that if we can't do it, we can't do it. It's got to meet the threshold for evidence that we can put into a courtroom. So anyways, thank you guys. The GeoFight. Support us at the GeoFight. GeoFight.com, geofight.org. Is it .org or .com?
It's .com. We have a Substack. Follow us on X, the GeoFight_com, Instagram, the GeoFight_com, and then the GeoFight.com. And Substack, you just Google us, and we have our first stack up announcing this lawsuit. And just join us, join our community, share this information, join our community, support our work. We can't stop this, and we will.
We're going to do it. And, this is why I got to have someone like Nicole who's smart and can remember where everything is, because I don't even know where I'm at half the time. All right. I'm looking forward to continuing with this, guys. Lots more updates on this. We're going to stop these guys from poisoning our skies, poisoning our kids, poisoning our families. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back very soon.
Hale & Associates are a financial services organization specializing in retirement planning. We work with individuals from across the country, understanding that each person has unique needs and desires. Our goal is to help you develop income planning solutions that last a lifetime while securing your estate in a tax-efficient manner. Since 1983, Hale & Associates has been committed to educating the public on effective retirement planning strategies. We strive to empower our clients to make informed decisions to achieve their financial goals and secure their future. Let us help you take the necessary steps to build a retirement plan that meets your needs and provides financial peace of mind.